Putting on a rag joint will be the single most loveless, hate-fueled, frustrating, devil-spawning task you will ever perform. In my video today, we'll be taking the rear wheel off, taking it inside, and putting our rag joint on. But after the ride I went on the other day, just pedaling around, the wheels are a bit muddy and dirty. So we have to give them a bit of a clean. And I've got a bit of a dangerous tip, but one that I found works really well for me. Cleaning wheels on a time limit. Wonderful. One of the first things that we have to do before attempting to remove the wheel is to remove the coaster brake, and that is really easy. As you can see, we've got this adjustable little plate in there which shouldn't make any difference to us for this build, but it's just a 10mm nut there and a Phillips head screw there. Once you've removed that bolt, the coaster arm will just pull up out of the way like that. And what I like to do, so we don't lose it, we will just pop that on. Excuse my camera work. We'll just roll that lock nut onto the end of that bolt there, so we don't lose that. Right. So removing this hub gear selector was a lot easier than I had thought. You simply remove or loosen this locking bolt and it just pulls off the hub like that. Now you do have to be exceptionally careful because there is that spring in there. So now that we have the I'll call that the gear selector because I don't know what else to call it. Now that we have that off, we can go ahead and loosen the nuts on either side of the frame. So now that we've loosened the nuts on both sides of the frame fairly well, that one might just need a bit more. Don't need to unwind them all the way, just loose enough to give us a bit of wiggle room on the frame. So what we'll do is we'll lift the wheel up this way, take the chain off and remove our wheel. Somebody please tell me whether or not that's too much grease. I decided to just go ahead and throw some grease in the wheel bearings while I had it all off. No, I figure a bit of too much and not enough, right? This is the build that has given me the most challenge. I've really had to learn new skills. I have spent the entire day trying, testing. I've had to dremel out that ring there, lovely and smooth, no sharp edges, to fit the dust cover and coaster brake arm. Now, at first, there's a bit of a lip. There's not much of a lip there, but just looking at it on the camera here, I had dremeled out just enough for it to sit over the lip and desperately hoping that it would clear the frame. It didn't, so to take it all apart. Probably touched on that already. But the long story short is that now that fits lovely. Best news is there's a little bit of wriggle room. I've got the tongue ties. Alright, and because of all that dremeling, there is metal dust everywhere, and I've tried to clean up. So now we're finally ready to attempt the rag joint. Now, I did try to cover this in at the beginning before I realised it would be so hard, but with our two actual rag joints, select one, any one will do, and make that cut between the holes. So of course you can slide it on the inside over the hub. This is a ridiculously large hub, so it is try and get 2 fingers either side like that and just stretch it. Nasty, out of shape bent rubber. Alright. Now there is not much clearance between the rag joint itself and the hub there with the spokes ring. But I've already fitted it up sort of once today. It does work. So make sure you've got your 2 rag joints on. We obviously need our sprocket, our 1, 2 and 3 crescent shaped packers, I guess, which will sit on the inside there. Alright, so 3 of those. Good piece of advice is make sure that one of these is overlapping the cut that you've made. You don't want the edge of the crescent to be sitting on the edge, otherwise it's just going to flop around. Added support, make sure there's an overlap. Alright, so make sure you've got your 9 bolts. I went out and I bought longer 50mm bolts because I thought I was going to need them. Hopefully I don't, but they're there if I do. So 9 bolts, 9 washers, 9 spring washers, and of course 9 nuts. Now you can opt to use nylon lock nuts on the back. It is a good idea. I've done it once. But just for this one, I'm just going to use the ones that came with the kit because I just honestly can't be bothered. So let's have a look there. There's a bit of a lip there. Now I like to have that facing up because that will help keep the chain away from the tyre. Depending on the fit of the bike, I've seen some videos where they've been turned around. I think that's a toss-up between clearing the tyre and clearing the frame. But if I do have clearance issues on the frame, while I can pack these out if I have to and push the frame out, not by much, but there is a bit of room in there to do that. So, making sure we've got that the right way, I'm going to feed that. Oh, look at that. I don't actually have to. I used to have this sitting on there now, and that's how tired I am. I forgot that I'd already routed that hole out, which is good. It means I can throw this stuff off. So I've fast forwarded the actual process of putting the rag joint on. I had originally recorded the entire process and talked through the step-by-step, but the audio quality on the laptop was terrible and it just kept on cutting in and out. Alright, so yesterday I put the sprocket and rag joint properly on the wheel, and today we're going to look at getting it all set up. So I've just balanced the bike and the frame. The nuts are finger tight. This is critical. You really have to get the alignment of this wheel spot on. Just because it wants to sit one way, you'll be able to visualize it. But you get that as straight as you possibly can. Which I'm lucky in the sense of, although second-hand, this is such a new bike in good condition that it really isn't difficult nothing's bent out of shape, so everything just works. Alright, so I just want to nip these up. At this point I don't want to do it super tight because there's a lot of things I need to adjust. Just swing that out of our way. Now reinstalling the coaster arm, of course, is that 10mm nut on the back there. And the Phillips bolt here. Excuse me. Alright, so the sprocket is on. I'm reasonably happy with that to begin with. It's not perfectly straight, but as we can see there, it's not terrible. Alright. So of course the next step is to pop our gear selector on, which of course means remembering to put the pin back in the hollow part there, 5mm Allen to tighten it back up. Then we're ready to flip the bike over and start sizing the engine.